Welcome to our lovely future humans, to our self-led, emotionally responsible collective, the 5D collective, Mystic Spiritual Mindful. So we have some new questions out there, well, at least one, and that's only for some of you are navigating uncertainty with that which is called emotional stability, so you're not bypassing, unlike our brothers 3D, 4D. Yes, I may. They continue with that which is something we won't be discussing. But in the meantime, you who have nervous system sovereignty have bilateral vertical overall integration, and so journal prompts, inner growth mindset practice, intentional living, these things come organically to you because you enjoy your emotional depth, being yourself. That's one of the things IHP has always been about. And I'm honoring my 46th being myself version. So yes, we change because we become emotionally mature. But no, we don't change when we own the sense of self and have been differentiated since we were 3. Right here. So FYI, I do have a bit of irritation and more with the 3D, 4D because liars are always going to be liars to a person who says, I know you're lying. Right here. I know when a child is lying, and I'm a child. I don't lie. On that note, when someone asked me, when they said we will become friends, I said, no, we won't. We will frequent the same place. Yes, we will. We will hang out. No, we won't. And this is an emotionally immature human being who thinks they taught me a lesson in common courtesy. So when you meet emotionally immature 3D, 4D, not energy vampires, not dark auras, no, they're actually between savior complex spiritual bypassers who think that they are more special while God created all his children equally. In fact, his very number one test, quote unquote, is to maintain that which is called the humility of being a human in flesh. So humility, I know it very well, and it doesn't sound like I know it to those who are insecure. Those who do know what authenticity sounds like know definitely, okay, that person's a person. And that's because we'll know when we meet a grandiose, pompous asshole because they're going to be an insecure one, meaning they don't know how to safely co-regulate. So they don't like those who are ordinary. They want to say there is a special group and a bad group. Yes, I said special and bad. That's because that's how they divide it up. The good group is special, the bad group is bad. And I'm like, well, technically all children can be good and bad. So have you done dressing things up in ways that are exaggerated, because that's the actual capacity for a discerning, equanimous, loving, thank you God, his timber is that, but mind, of course, of a securely attached, self-led person to say, there's mystic, spiritual, mindful, and we find it quite amazing to be the woo-woo pseudoscience ones, because then we make fun of the ones who are pseudo-intellectuals. Okay, so enough about that. If you're moving through uncertainty and trying to stay emotionally steady, this question is for you. And if you want more of these types of journal prompts, I created a bundle with the uncertainty journal prompts plus the 3-day inner growth mindset practice. And so with this, the question that I pose is also on our shorts, but I make fun a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I said, let me give it again. And I shared it written out for you to copy if you want. Okay, so how has your ability to create steadiness from uncertainty helped you to stay true to yourself and to help others in need by being a safe space as an emotionally sovereign and mature person? Okay, so sit with it for a second. I'm going to sit with it too. And as I breathe, because I get all excited when I talk to you guys. So do you notice what can come up? Usually there will be sensations, images, affects, emotions, behaviors, and meanings. Now, that's a mature person. We're not working on child parts. This is not what we do here. You work with child parts with a good therapist. Once you're a grown human being, now you say yes to staying that, and therefore, no, it's not appropriate to have rage, because appropriate means you know how to harness every single one of those emotions, and rage comes out of anger, which means you're out of sorts. So rage is actually not how you're going to contemplate anything, nor is any charge. Okay, so when people don't understand what clarity of mind means, it's clear to me because they don't like equanimity. In fact, they'll call people like myself spiritual bypasser. I ain't a bypasser. I'm not bypassing. I know nervous system sovereignty. I know how to explain myself, and I really don't do any of this with people who are actually already in their 3D, 4D, defensive posture, because it's a losing strategy that I met when I was a teenager, and Terrell explains it. And unless they're a person that actively engages with me, spells it out, and says, that's not what I'm doing, and usually, again, this hasn't ever actually happened, but when it does, it's because that's a person who actually isn't in this. So when we're connected, we know that. And we like to have intellectual conversations, especially because the social construction of reality is basically made by the entire globe together. And really, when you look at all of us, we're doing amazing. Those who are whole, personality patterns. Thanks, Dr. Dan. This adds to our personal growth. So besides the Enneagram, we got the PDP framework. Spiritual growth, we continue to do what God has asked us to do, which is bring each other together. Stephen Porges continues to do research to prove that, which is the polyvagal theory. All our brothers and sisters, none of them are monsters. They are either going to, at this point, for those of us who are knowledgeable, be not integrated or be integrated. Integrated brains, what do we get to do together? We get to put our left foot in and our right foot in, and we shake it all about, and we get to laugh like sages do, because that's the Enlightenment Soul Age group. So we do know what's going on. And again, let's get back to the question, though, as I pause to breathe and ask you again, how has your ability to create steadiness from uncertainty helped you to stay true to yourself? For me, it helps me to continue to tell you, my name's Maria. I'm a 5D mystic. I'm a mentor, content creator, podcast host. I do IHP so that you can be yourself. And today I know who will not be themselves. And I never wanted to hang around mediocre morons. And that's exactly what I consider every emotionally immature human being on the face of this planet. There's only one man I ever yelled at in the face. All I asked you is to be yourself. And that's my friend, my facade friend, who I didn't speak to for 5 years. I didn't do the rage thing. I just said, I'm not talking to you anymore. You disrespected our friendship. And that's it. And I got called childish. And I said, I accept that. I don't want to speak to him. He disrespected our friendship, which means he disrespected our bond, which means he doesn't really love me as his friend, which means this is not a relationship. So I'm going to share again, because I continued to get told that I was being a baby about it. And I said, they talked about me behind my back, because that came through from one of the messages. And well, that doesn't change things. I said, those people were not friends to me like he was at the time. So I became friends with my friend again. I learned how not to be an asshole. And my friend, who's still a faco, he showed me what people with core wounds that are unhealed do. They talk over you, which is why all I asked you is to be yourself came after 3 years where we were friends again. But I learned how not to cancel or be mean to a person who has insecurities. And that's for all of those who are God's children. So when I look into the eyes of those who are fake, I don't think, let me tell them what I think. I think nothing, which is why I will silence myself the minute I get interrupted at the third time, and then I get curious, because I'm also having a fun time. Excuse me, you're confusing science spirituality. Random human being. I said, no, I'm not. I bring them together on my podcast. I'm a mystic. I'm a mentor. I'm a mystic too. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a Reiki practitioner too. Okay, I'm an Akashic record reader. I'm an Akashic record reader too. Wow, you're all of it. Okay, I still not confusing this. No, you're confusing science and spirituality. No, really, they say the same thing. But okay, tell me what you think, because I actually have no fucking clue what you think, and I didn't curse. I actually am just curious, because now I don't know what my brother or sister were thinking. So see, this is how it works when you're actually intrigued. And people think that I want to make fun of these people. I'm like, no, I actually want to know now. I don't know what they're thinking. Okay, so when people have a steady sense of self, this is what happens. You grow up, now I'm 46, and you grow funnier, and you don't think of it being offensive. When humans splain, it can be a mansplain, a woman's splain, a human splain. It's, you suffered, Maria. No, I don't suffer. I physically use my prefrontal cortex to cry and to get angry, even with panic attacks, to handle fear. You pretend. And so once again, when you meet people who don't know how to do strong, you just think, okay, struggle as strength. They can learn how it's not the struggle thing. It's the curious thing. Once you become Krishna Leela, because you got Shiva and Kali, meaning that you embody securely attached, non-traumatized, healthy self-worth in this ship. I bring all the words in, human element, spiritual, you name it. So here's where, again, let me pose the second part of our question. So you don't lose yourself because you know who you are. Use your human name. Awesome. Now that you are yourself, the second part is even more important. Because here's where it's presented to me consistently. Maria, who is IHP for? For the emotionally sovereign people who want to help people. So are you telling them stories just randomly? No, I'm telling them my stories so that they can understand what it means when you know how to handle your nervous system like this, and why you don't think of struggle with emotions or thoughts. You think that's not struggle. I mean, I would struggle if there's a big, huge man who was choking me and I wouldn't let him choke me. I would be like, get the fuck away with those hands. What are you doing? No, I don't do that shit. As a kid, I had some kids, they were very, I don't like boys or girls that use their hands. I'm a scaredy cat. These boys, no, one boy, I don't remember who it was, one of the friends that we would go to the beach with, he consistently, 3 times, tried to dunk me. The first time I didn't know what was happening. The second time I was hyperventilating. He kept laughing. I wasn't laughing. The third time I said, that's it. I'm not going in the water with you anymore. Oh, stop being so serious. I don't give a shit. That's how it works. Do I feel upset? I'm a grown woman. No. As a kid, I learned how not to take it personally. So this is why it's not struggle. You actively learn 1 asshole, 2 assholes, 3 assholes, 4 assholes, 5 assholes. You don't lose faith in humanity. You just say, how many assholes are there out there? And that's how it works when you stay a scaredy cat. FYI, I totally, thank you, panic attacks. They're the ones that made me healthy with fear. Other than that, I will avoid any human being who doesn't respect my boundaries, because that's it. I'm not avoiding you. I actually don't want to hang out with you. I have a good gut. And that's exactly why when people want to tell me that I need to be friends with all, I say, no, I don't. That doesn't mean I can't love all people. This is a side note. Okay, back to our question, the second part. I'm thinking of the one stranger that the regulars know all about this story. Okay, so as we close on out, when you are able to stay steady, thanks to your ventral energy, thanks to you knowing nervous system regulation, whether you're mystic, spiritual, or mindful, you don't get deluded because there's no monster in the sky. The 4D don't choose to heal themselves, FYI. It's not I can't make them. Believe me, I've met a bunch of them. They're all spiritual bypassers. Thinking equanimity means bypassing. No, equanimity means I'm calm and centered because I know how the fuck to use my human makeup because I chose so. In my case, I secure, attached, self-led, 3-year-old right here in front of me. You can't break me. What are you trying to do? Who are you poking at? I got rejected at 4. What do you want? This is Italian. What do you want? Wait, oh, you lean. You know how many jokes I heard when I was a kid? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because I'm literal. I'm like, they what? They think that I can pull one over. Why are they my friends? That's bullshit. My friend was like, they're just joking. No, it's not a joke. That's not a joke. Why would you be friends with me if you don't think I want your best interest? If you think I don't want your best interest, this is why my facade friend, I didn't speak to him for 5 years. You know why? He lied to me about going on a date. We would go out all together, and I'm like, okay, now this doesn't make sense. We're brother and sister, and you lie to me about this thing. Now, yeah, I gave you advice not to go out because you were just broken up after 14 years, your first most important relationship. Excuse me for talking sense to you, moron. This is what a person who's grounded in reality thinks. You're an idiot. And I told my friend, you're Achilles heel, dude. Seriously, what's up with you? You don't know that you need time to get better? And I'm in my early 20s? And so I'm meeting morons by the time I'm in my mid-20s. That's your adolescent brain until you're 25. You see the stare? It's like, really, how many bullshitters do you think you got out there? There's a bunch of them. So my facade friend, the only man I ever yelled at in the face, because then I learned what a core wound. That's exactly what my friend showed me. Not like that. No, his tone. As well, I'll get all upset and all exaggerated like a 3-year-old. The tone of a person who pretends to not give a shit. He taught me the timbre of it. Do you know how sad it is when you hear that timbre? You know how relieved I am when I understand that these people don't have a relationship with their subconscious, meaning that they're not suffering it. I just get to hear their child parts suffering, and they don't know that they're playing out their 0-8-year-old on a wheelhouse. So it's not something fascinating to meet individuals who look at me like I'm a weirdo. I think, wow, you're not strong, you're weak. I can't say anything because that would be mean, and God taught me not to play no. It also did my mom, and so did a bunch of other people who are smart enough to tell me they didn't choose dysregulation, Maria. Yes, they didn't. They just fall around the flat earthers and pat each other on the back. So when I think of Schopenhauer's quote, if you want to appeal to a large audience, appeal to the masses. Yes, I'm here with the 5D masses, because we're all the masses. Difference is some of us thank our brothers and sisters, the mediocre ones, for reminding us of what A-gamers are. They're always going to be the ones who rise above, and it isn't because we're a better team. That's the exact opposite of what humility means. So when you hear someone saying God has favorites, he doesn't have favorites. If someone wants to use a Cain or Abel story, I'm going to tell you, the ones who are the weak ones are the ones who are being mean right now. The ones who are the strong ones are saying, hey, hey, we can make this work. We can work it out always. And that's the ones who are going to thrive. And they're going to know how to bring it together because those are the intelligent minds. The ones who are stingy and think that rage is appropriate don't know how to handle themselves. What's appropriate is clarity, which comes with equanimity. What is appropriate is discernment, which comes with the capacity to notice who of our lovely humanity, 8 billion and growing, are the collective of enlightenment soul age group people. The other ones are distracted with their stuff. Let them be distracted. It's okay. And let the conspiracy theorists continue with their conspiracies. Do you know how people come up with shit? Yeah, let me not tell you right now because I want to get to the second part, which is even more important. And I'm going to bring in my facade friend again. All I asked you is to be yourself. This man lied to me in my face. He consistently heard all my mystic stories and never once in 3 years after we became friends again. Does anybody know? If you're new, you don't know the story, do you? Yeah, so after he lied to me and I stopped speaking to him for 5 years and I was pissed beyond a bejesus every time they'd mention his name. Someone like, you know, you must still love him if you're, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, he was my friend. He lied. I tried helping him. Of course I'm pissed. Yes, that was it. And a stupid lie. And then he said, she made me do it. She didn't put a gun to your head. Nobody made you do it. You made a choice to lie to me in my face, behind my back, all of it. So, petty fools. Yes, people, oh, you trust people? Yeah, of course I trust people. They're not all morons. And the ones who are morons, I have nothing for you. They actually today make me laugh because it's like, wow, seriously, there's help for you. You don't want it? Okay, go hang out with flat earthers. Leave me alone. So, number 2 part, thanks God for reminding me. What does it mean to want to help others? So people who are securely attached and therefore emotionally stable enjoy hanging out with other emotionally stable people. When we have the petty fools like my facade friend, we know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. You're done. Those were your choice points. Now you're all in the dark sides of neuroplasticity. You've honed in on your narrative. You're completely continuing to be that which is now a donkey. And I get to hear your story. And then you grow up. And that's why then you see these people as they behave like children amongst each other. And I think Pinocchio's Island. So with that, as we finish the question, when you think of how you are able to help others, that's the most important part. Because see, this is the number 1 truth. When someone thinks that they're saviors, that's called savior complex. Those are spiritual bypassers. And I think you don't remember you're not Jesus, you're not God, you're not the Holy Spirit, you're not the divinity in itself, you're not any of those stories that you're talking about. And even if in any way, shape, or form, any of those who are here on earth as humans are, you better bet that won't come out of their mouth. The one thing that I've always been amazed at is the capacity for any of the spiritual bypassing community to actively think that by saying, this is who I am, this is who I wasn't. Now they tease us about it, by the way. The ones who are like, oh, so everyone's, they found themselves in a room of mystics, which everyone was the same person or something like that. It was like someone who said, I'm the reincarnation of this, I'm the reincarnation of that. And I can't say that they're not making, of course they're going to make fun of us. Meaning the spiritual ones, but that's the part of where those who are mystics and spiritual in a way of understanding how the energetic frequency work, we don't say and think of our past lives and things that we will have seen as things we need to make public. So when people are seeking fame and fortune or whatever, again, that's where the groupies are at. And it's not good or bad, by the way, because at the end of the day, controllable, manipulable, persuadable people are the only ones who are looking still with the words good or bad in a way as if they're children. If you grew up with the appropriate, self-led, securely attached, common sense like a teenager did, you'll know who the good group is and who the bad group is. The good group doesn't actually grow to go to college and get busy with all these STDs and then think it was the sex revolution or that it's Lucifer or something like that. Smart people know exactly what smart know. It's called, do you know your name? Do you have what is called common sense? You know what diseases are, right? Like, there's no reason to exaggerate. So, when I was a kid, I got good sex ed and I got good DARE program. And today I'm a grown up and now I know all about the adolescent essence. So there's so much more I could tell you about. But the point is that our future generations will be fine because we have grounded in reality people who don't make it into a conversation of monsters, demons, and ancient news. We have the smart ones of us who say, okay, look, So here's the adolescent essence and how the embodied brain works. Thanks, Dr. Dan. He explained it all. And I was like, okay, that makes so much sense. So when you have a person who doesn't lose their sense of self, in my case, I'm securely attached. I'm not going to copy the assholes. Become a grown-up, my facade friend and I. So we become friends again 3 years down the line. What am I doing? I'm yelling at him because he, in a group of boys, told them that he doesn't even remotely believe in God. And I had been talking to him for a whole 3 years of my mystic life, my spiritual downloads, my twin flames, and every single bit of something that is significant to someone who is in communion with God. He says, you don't have to believe me. I don't care if you believe me. God won't care either, because that's the whole point of when you hear someone trying to convince someone of God. It's like, that's not how faith works. And actually, God is not going to have you force. It's an inconsistency. Do you see what I'm saying? So anybody who knows God will be like, yeah, that's not one way we're going to get people to have faith. If you have faith, you have faith. Some because you grew up with it. Some they will have an experience, some with more. But the point is, it's not imposed, and it's not needed for people to be enlightened and to be good, by the way. There's plenty of plain, pure science, logical minds, like the mind of Thomas Campbell. Everything knows everything, the law of everything. He knows love wins. He knows how to explain it with his mathematical terminology. He knows the left brain needs to make sense of things. I know that too, which is why Nutshell Lady is the one who helped me with my panic attacks, not the 4D collective. And I knew about my light body and my rainbow body and all the twin flames, the 4D collective, spiritual bypassers. They don't help shit. They actually continue to perpetuate lies instead of accepting decentralizing in the self and religious experiences from Patrick McNamara, which explain what happens. And FYI, when people twist their mind from one moment they're mystic, then they're calling us evil demons. Yes, that's called a bad decentralizing in the self. And so like an exaggerated teenager, the rigidity is what you see. And I call them teenagers because that's what they are. At this point, it's like, wow, they really just close their minds. In a loophole they go, and the left brain is full of obsessions and the right brain is full of immaturity. And so with their structural dissociation, they don't get to go get help. So they're not bad, they're immature. And they're delusional, and they continue to roam the streets. And so thanks to the laws, we're going to continue working to create better systems. And with emotional maturity, people are going to figure it out, because we also don't insult each other, by the way. We know how we need to get more of the intelligent ones to have so stability. How does your stability, your capacity to be equanimous and discerning, help you to help others? I'm hoping it makes them laugh, and that, at the end of the day, some of those who you have encountered also have taken themselves seriously enough to be the best version of them. So in my case, I know there's plenty of amazing, emotionally mature people. Then there are those who did not choose any of that, like my facade friend. And I get to love him unconditionally with his flaws and imperfections, and mine too. And when I said, all I asked you was to be yourself, all I saw was this, which is a blank stare of a person who doesn't know what the fuck they did. Then I got attachment trauma educated. I was like, oh gosh, darn it. Okay. Thank you for making me such a better person, a better friend, a better lover, a better everything. Because now I know when I'm dealing with someone who doesn't know what's happening. And I do make fun of them because, seriously, they don't once. I'm so sorry for talking over you. My facade friend talked over me after I had a very serious conversation, which is why the 3 years after I'm yelling at him in the car. Also, he had me talking about shit he has no interest in, that he doesn't believe in. He's having me disrespect. Basically, there's a bunch of things. I'm like, but then you find out from Stephen Porges that they talk over you, that they don't know they're doing it. So again, and Pat Ogden. So, we don't actually find it tiresome to deal with emotionally immature people once you get practiced in what's called self-regulating, differentiating. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel. That helped a lot, and continuing to do that, which is why emotional resilience continues to allow you to continue choosing integration. Secure attachment. You don't get broken because you choose to stay emotionally resilient, you see? So struggle is not what makes you strong. It's that you get rejected and you're not protected, meaning you're okay. A third attunement, repairing ruptures. And so you don't call people names just because they hurt your feelings. Nobody hurts your feelings. You got feelings. Then you learn how to handle the anger and all the other, and you don't become a Zen master who talks about laundry, or a cynic who says, I want it to be well, it's what it is right, it feels right, because we all got feelings. We all feel we want to feel safe. We want to feel safe in a world that is completely unsafe, and it continues to be so because dark matter, dark energy, and beyond that, because we have a bunch of people, the emotionally immature people, their nervous system is completely this. So their frequency is unsafe, and they are completely always destabilized because they are dysregulated and don't want to learn, because they don't want to go to therapy to self-regulate, because they don't like equanimity. And they don't like equanimity, so they call us spiritual bypassers, because they think that I have to be angry. Yes, okay, you have anger. Now learn how to harness your emotional plane. By the way, you can become a paid subscriber of Spotify. We have some exercises in there with anger in mind, since it's the most challenging one for some people. I didn't have a challenge with it because, I got to be all angry. I didn't have a challenge with sadness. I got to be all sad, fear, panic attacks. Those were the most uncomfortable, which is why, though, once you get to Krishna, you're like, wow, it's all fun because you can explore the depths of everything with laughter. And that's where left and right come in. So I thank God, and He keeps me humble. I thank my mom, my twin, my younger sister, and my extended family. They keep me humble too. I thank you for being here. And with the question that I posed to you, you can go visit the YouTube post. You can go and get the featured bundle on the PayHip store, Uncertainty to Steadiness, Inner Growth Mindset Practice. You can spread the word about IHP for those who are intelligent and want to be themselves. And you can let them know that it's that easy for the securely attached self-led person. So I didn't lose my equilibrium or stability. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Yes, so here's something that a child of God who has a left and a right that works well understanding. You know who's an inconsistency? So transformation is you being yourself because you didn't lose yourself, or you got earned secure attachment. Just before we close out, I want to honor something. So your perseverance comes from your self-regulation skills, from your capacity to be wholeness. And as Dr. Daniel Siegel pointed out, when you own the sense of self and you're whole, you now work with personality patterns, temperament, and secure attachment. So we choose this because, did I say that I want to help others in need? Yes, I'm not a savior. I don't have a savior complex. I'm not some special anointed anything. Just because I'm a mystic and I download doesn't make me more special than others. Science know about the sphere of consciousness, but also those who don't believe in any of it will say those are simply your thoughts. So we have at least 3 different interpretations of higher self, blah, 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 emotion and all that. Okay, so it's, to me, I know what I am, and I know the 2 explanations. I have understanding. I have wisdom. Wisdom transforms confusion to clarity, something like that. So the ones who don't like to hear that there's an explanation for everything are the spiritual bypassers, because they want only spirituality to be true. The scientists who think only science is true, well, I have news for you. They don't know that for a fact, but hey, let me leave alone, because I'll choose science over spirituality, because the spiritual bypassers use God's name in a way that doesn't create unity amongst His creations. Akash, Source, Anima Mundi. In one of the shorts I tell you, I saw cosmic karmic balancing. And a child of God will not think, oh, I'm so happy it happened. While I will be irritated and I will tease those who are immature because of their lack of resourcefulness, because they disrupt that which is prosperity, because they disrupt that which could be fruitfulness, they slow us down, masculines. That's how an empowered divine feminine in communion with God, it's not about men. It's those who don't know how to explore with left and right, and they don't have passion. They have unhealthy fear. And they are not actually in a protective state with their body connected. They're in a protective state like this. And so their isolation is not that which is faith or wisdom. And that's called defensiveness. So when people are afraid in an unhealthy way, what do? They protect themselves from each other. And so in the meantime, you get to be told, at least I did from good Christian Catholic catechist, how amazing it is, God's creations. And so science proves that all of God's creation can be perfect, the healthy kind. So when people aren't actually using their embodied brain in a way that makes them intelligent, we get to continue to hear their stories. And here's where I'm going to, on the other hand, share. Apparently, this is one of those which some people say has a controversy. I don't think there's any controversy, but as Jesus shares in the Essene Gospel of Thomas, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. And if you do not bring forth What is within you, what you do not bring forth, will destroy you. Now, this can be interpreted many ways. And those who don't believe in science and the self and becoming integrated and all of this that I just talked about won't think of these words in the way that I'm going to tell it to you. They're going to think it in some other way. So what I'm going to say is you bring forth the essence of you if you are a person who uses your name, who has child parts asleep, and who can self-regulate, and then who can notice that when we use words, monsters, evil, devil, I don't want to use those in that way because they create a lot of dehumanization, but those are all people who are applying things and they're all scared. And so again, if you're wanting to help other people, you don't create more confusion. You don't create good teams and bad teams. You want to create conversations. And so spiritual and science, here they come together, and anybody who is intelligent will also say the same. And then they will have interesting conversations, or sometimes they might not have interesting conversations, but the point is that they will look to support each other to calm down versus what 3D, 4D do with their content, which I see, and that completely irritates me. So my facade friend, he spoke over me, and that's because that's what happens when people are immature and they don't realize that someone actually has spoken who they are, like someone who's breaking up with me and say, I thought you would change. I told you I wouldn't. Okay, so the part about when you can have emotional sovereignty, you also have mental sovereignty, then you understand how subjective reality works and how if you have an emotionally mature person, we're going to be talking about what's happening. We are all upset about what's happening in the world that is already unsafe, but we know that it will be fine. We'll work it out. And some will have their fingers crossed. I have my communion with God. So for me, I'm not afraid. I'm upset. And does it mean that I have all certainty? I'm grounded in reality. As Sam Harris would point out, so all my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. Love you, God. Meaning I'm common sense. I believe in God. I have faith in God. Science tells me about dark matter, dark energy. I learned about the cosmos. Then I look at a globe and I see a bunch of people who think advanced society is because of technology. Well, I say, nope, advanced society is because you know how to treat each other with respect, which means you know emotional maturity, which means you don't get into the rage stuff. You get into let's coordinate and let's be smart and let's continue to do what we always have done as a species, to grow and create prosperity. Those who don't like humans are actually people who are thinking in ways of defensiveness. So humanity, that's what we are. Are we perfect? No, we aren't. That's the whole point. And we all get afraid. That's the other point. And we all have secondary human consciousness. And some people are completely destabilized because they are manipulable. They are impressionable. Telling them to love themselves first is confusing. Thank you, Patrick Chan, because they didn't have good childhoods. And when you get sent around the world, no, when you meet people of all types and you see the ones who won't make it over the hump, you don't think, oh my God, I'm so happy for them. You think they have free will and they could get to therapy, but in the meantime, thanks to the laws, you do what you can, but you feel sad for the people who won't meet themselves. So I'm happy that I can support people who want to not only be emotionally mature, but also the immature ones who will respect my healthy boundaries. And I won't cut people out of the cords and all that other bullshit. And my facade friend is the reason why I learned how not to kick people to the curb, because he taught me what insecure people do. They pretend to be assholes. And then Peter Levine humbled me to the point of where I cried a bunch for a bunch of people. And then I remembered they didn't cry when they accused you of things that weren't real. But that's okay, because they don't really know any better. Because nobody who has actual unhealed trauma will know of what black and white thinking is. Well, I got it explained by Dr. Daniel Fox. And then Kylie told me how it works. And that made a lot of sense, because that made me think of a moment in time where I was like, wow, okay, now I understand why that happened. Wow, okay, it's a good thing they didn't awaken from those slumbers, because I'm not sure how they would have handled awakening to that. So I'm going to leave it with that cliffhanger. But again, thank you for stopping by. Enjoy your day and continue being yourself, emotionally resilient, and hanging around people and sharing that ventral energy and helping others who want to be their own self to do so too, because more of us who are authentic, transparent, understanding that we can all lead each other to our A games. The mediocre ones, we won't copy them. We just know that they didn't get the good end of the stick. Something went down. We're gonna keep voting, keep looking to make the system better and all that, and keep we'll be back with more. Have a good one.